Hey YouTube, I'm Kishan, and in this video we'll be creating this beautiful restaurant template using React and style components. The name of this template is Foodie. So let me give you a demo of this. So here there is our navbar. So when we hover over this links, the color of it changes. Then we have our hero section here. As you can see, there is a background image here, and over it our components are there. Then when we hover over this button, its background color changes. Then we have our services section. Then when we hover over these buttons, the color of them also changes. Then we have our portfolio section. Now when we hover over this image, we have this beautiful zoom effect. When we hover over this button, the gradient color of it changes. Then we have testimonials section. As you can see, there are also hover effects here. Then we have our products. We also have the hover effect. Now we have our newsletter section. Now when we hover over this button, there is this beautiful effect. Now we have our footer section. And now when we click over this scroll to top button, it scrolls back to the top. So this template is also responsive. Let me show you that. I'll switch to the mobile version. So now we also have this responsive navbar. When we click over this, you will be diverted to this section and the navbar will be closed automatically. Okay, as you can see, that template is completely responsive. I'll increase the size. Oh, I forgot to mention, there are also hover effects over these buttons. I'll switch over to the iPad. Okay, this is the iPad. Let me increase the size. Yeah. Let me show you the navbar. So as you can see that this grid of products is adaptive. When the size increased, it switched from one row to the two columns. I'll close this. Okay, that's it. So now let's start building this awesome template. I'll switch over to my VS Code. So now I'm in the VS Code. Now I'll open the terminal by clicking here. We'll set up the React application first by npx create -react -app and the name of our application, which is Foodie. Then hit enter. This process may take time depending upon your network connection. I'll skip this part. So now our application has been successfully set up. So now head over to that directory by cd foodie, and then we are going to be adding some dependencies, which are, I'll add them by yarn add react icons. This is for the icons. Then we need style components for styling. Then we need scroll reveal for the scroll reveal animations. Yeah, that's it. Then hit enter. Wait for this to install. So our dependencies has been successfully installed. So now open this food.yummy, and inside this source folder we are gonna delete some junk files, which are this logo.svg, then this file, and the app.css and the app.test.js. Also in the app.js we are going to delete all of these and write rfc to create the component again, and here we'll write hello for the demo, and inside the index.js we'll be deleting this import and we'll be removing this content. Now we'll start the application by yarn start, close this terminal, browser will open automatically. Okay, I'll just open it from here, localhost colon 3000. As you can see that our React application has been successfully set up. Now let's add the components first, then we'll head over to the Navbar section. I have added this assets folder here. You can find this from the link in the description of the GitHub repository. So these are the assets which we are going to use in the project. I'll close this. Now we'll be creating a new folder here named as components. So in this folder we'll right click and create our first component, which is the scroll to top.jsx. We'll write rfc to create the component. This is the shortcut method. Now we'll create navbar.jsx. We'll write rfc again. Now we'll create the hero section by hero.jsx. We'll write rfc. Then we have services.jsx. We'll again write rfc. Then we have portfolio.jsx. Then we have testimonials.jsx. Then we have products.jsx. Then we have newsletter.jsx. Then we have footer.jsx. Now please make sure to save these files. And now head over to app.js, and here we'll be importing all those components first. We'll remove this div and we'll just write the fragment here. Now first we need scroll to top. Then we have the navbar. Then we have the hero. Then we have the services. Then we have the portfolio. Then we have the testimonials. Then we have the products. Then we have the newsletter. And at the last we have the footer. It's in the capital. Make sure that React components always start with capital letters. It's the footer. Okay. It didn't auto import, so we have to write it here. Import footer from components and footer. See this? Okay, that's it. So now we'll start our navbar. So head over to navbar.jsx. We'll first import the style from style components, and then we'll create a style component named as nav. It's nav is equals to style dot nav Now let's write the markup here. Let's first import the image. Import food yummy from assets in the capital food and again in the capital yummy dot png. Save this, and now inside the nav we'll use the emit. We have our div with a class name of brand. Then inside it we have our image. The source for this would be food yummy. Then after this we have an class name with toggle. We'll style this when we are styling the responsiveness. We'll leave it for now. Then we have an UL with class name of links. Inside the UL we have the li, and inside the li we have the a. So the href would be home for this, and the content would be home. We'll also add a class name to this, which would be an active class. Now copy this li and we are going to paste it 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we'll change this content here. Our services, here we'll write services. Here we'll write portfolio. Here we'll write just the portfolio. Okay, we have to do one thing. We need to remove this class name with the active from all of this. So I'll select this by Ctrl D, remove. That's done. We only need the class name on the first li of A. After portfolio we have the testimonials. Then we have the products. Okay, we need to copy this again. We'll remove this class name, and the last one would be newsletter. Okay, that's done. Now let's see in the browser how it looks. Refresh this. We have an error here. Okay, I know what error is causing this. So we have to go to the footer, and I forgot to create the component here. Save this. Okay, that's gone. Now head over to Navbar. I'll close the Explorer, and yeah, so you can see the changes here. Now we'll go to our style.nav here, and we'll write display flex. So everything will be in one line. Then we'll write justify content of space between. So there will be space. Now we'll write align items center. Then we'll write padding. Padding would be 0 of top and bottom, and 4 viewport width of left and right. Okay, now we'll write brand here. In the brand we have the image. We'll give margin top of 1 rem. Then we'll write cursor of pointer. Okay, now let's go over here. Yeah, the cursor is here. Then we'll select the toggle and initially we'll give it a display of none. When we switch over to responsive mode, we'll give it a display of block again. Then we have our links. Let me switch over the VS Code to the left side. Yeah, so you can see the link styling. First we'll give it a display of flex, then we'll give it a list style type of none, save it. Yeah, okay, then we'll write gap of 2 rem, so there will be gap between all the LIs. Yeah, so now we'll select the LI inside the links, and inside the LI we'll select the A and we'll give it color of hexadecimal FC4958. Save this. So our colors are there. Then we'll give it a font weight of 600. Then we'll give it a text decoration of none. We'll give it a text transform of uppercase. Sorry, it's uppercase. Then we'll give it a letter spacing of 0.2 rem. It's 0.2 rem. Then we'll give it a transition property of 0.3 seconds is in out. So when we hover over this, we have a smooth transition effect. Now we'll select the ampersand hover. So this ampersand hovers to the element in which you are currently in. So currently we are in the A. So here the ampersand would be replaced by A. Okay, we'll write ampersand hover and we'll write color hexadecimal F9C74F. Save it. Let's hover over these. Okay, the colors are changing, but we need a yellow color here. F9C74F. 74F. Yeah. Okay, the colors are changing, but the transition is not here. Okay, we need to write it 0.3 seconds. Yeah, the transition is working now. Now let's select the active and we'll give this color here. Save it. Let's go here. Yeah, our navbar is styled perfectly. Let's check it from here. Yeah, it has been styled. So now I forgot to import the fonts. So now let's do that. Open a new tab and I'll paste this link of fonts.google.com, and here there is the Nanito. So now here we need the extra light. We also need the extra light italic. Then we need the 300. Then we'll select the 400. Then we'll select the semi bold, which is 600, and we'll select the 800, which is extra bold. Now head over to this import. We'll copy this import. Then we'll go to the VS Code. I'll open the index.css by Ctrl P, and here before the body we'll import that. Then we'll copy this font family. Okay, we'll copy this, and here first we'll delete this code. We don't need this. Then also we don't need these codes. We also don't need this margin. We'll paste the font here and we'll head over to here. Yeah, the fonts are changed. Also we'll give some styling here. First we'll reset everything by margin of 0 and a padding of 0. We'll give it a box sizing of border box. Then we'll select the HTML and we'll give it a scroll behavior of smooth, and we'll give it overflow overflow x of header. Save it, and then we'll select these sections. We have not written this, but we'll be doing this now. You just need to copy this code. Okay, so for this all these sections and the footer and the lower footer, we are gonna give a margin of top and bottom of 0 and left and right of 5 viewport width. For this, you can see that here, these margin I'm talking about. Okay, this is footer and this is the lower footer. These all are these sections. Then we'll select section and first of type, and for the first of type we'll give it a margin of 0. For the first we don't need a margin, and for all these section we need to give margin top of 5rem and margin bottom of 5rem as well. Yeah, that's it. Save it. So our navbar is done and our base styling is also done. So now we'll create this hero section. So for that, head over to the VS Code and open this hero.jsx. So now in the hero component, we'll first import this child. Import style from style components. Then at the bottom we'll declare a section is equals to styled dot section. We will save this and we will replace this. We'll replace this with sections. With section. Okay. Now after the styled, we will import our images. First would be the hero from assets, and the name of the image is hero.jpg. This would be our background image. Then we'll import hero design from assets as well. The name is hero design dot png. Save it, and first we'll give this section an ID of home. So when we click on the link of home, it will scroll to this section. Now inside this we have a div with a class name of background. Inside that we'll place our background image. So inside the source we'll write hero, and here we'll write background image. And after this div we'll have another div with a class name of content, and inside that we'll have a div with a class name of sale. So inside the sale we'll first have our background, not the background image but the hero design image. Okay, in the alt we'll write hero design, and after this image we have an h1 with big sale as the text, and after this we have a span inside the h1, and here the text would be 50% off. Save it. After the h1, close this div, and after this div we have another div with a class name of info. I'm sorry for that. After this div we have another div with class name of info, and inside that we have an h2 with text as retailer. Yeah. After this we have an en tag. We'll write lorem text here, lorem of 10. Yeah. Then after this we have a button. with text order now. Save it. So our markup is done. Let me close this Explorer and open this halfway here. Save it. Okay, we might need, yeah, we have to import it in the app.js. It's already imported. Why there are not changes here? Let me refresh it. Yeah, the changes are here. So now we'll style this component. So inside the style.section, first we'll give it a height of 90 viewport height and a width of, okay, there should be a column here. Save it. Yeah. Now the width would be 100 viewport width. Then we'll give it a position of relative first. Then we'll select the background. And inside the background, first we'll give it a height of 100%. And now for the image inside that background, we'll give it the width of 100% and a height of 100% as well. I'm not saving this file just to show you. Before saving, the image is like this, and now when we save it, yeah, the image is stretched, but as you can see that image is like stretching. Here the image is not stretching, so for that we'll use a property called object fit and we'll give it cover, so it would not stretch, as you can see here. That's fixed. Now let's give it a filter with a brightness of 60%. Save it. As you can see that brightness is less now. Now after this image, now we'll select the content. So for this content, we'll give it position of absolute, not relative, absolute. So what it would do is we'll be taking this all text from here to on top of this image. So we have given this div a position of relative, and now what we'll give is this content div a position of absolute, and the values would be top of 0 and right would be as per we need. So let me do that. First I'll write top of 0. So you can see that text is up here. Now I'll give it a display of flex and align items of center and justify content or space between. Save it. You can see that the flex is applied. Now I'll also give it the height and width of 100%. Height would be 100% and width would be 100% as well. Okay, so now it's in the center here. Now let's select the cell inside that and we'll give it a position of relative first. Then we'll give it a left of 10%. Save it. Now inside that we'll be selecting that image and we'll give it a height of 70 viewport height. Image is enlarged. Now we'll select the H1 and give it a color of white. You can see that H1 is now visible. Now we'll give it a position of absolute. So we'll be stacking this H1 on top of this image. So we'll be using position absolute. Make sure to make this work of stacking. First you need to give the parent div a position of relative, then you can give the children position of absolute, and then you can apply top, left, right or bottom, whichever is needed. So in our case we'll be using top of 25 viewport height, then we'll give it a left of 15 viewport height, and now we'll increase the font size by font size 4.5 rem. Save it. Yeah, that's good. Now we'll select the span, it's span tag, and we'll give it a display of blog. So initially spans have display of inline. So when we use span, the content would be on the same line, but if we have used h2 inside this, it would be on a different line because it would have a display of block. So we are giving span the display of block, so it would be on a different line. Save it. You can see that it's on different line, and we'll be increasing the font size for the span. We'll be giving it 5 viewport width. Okay, that's good. So now we'll leave 3 brackets from here, and after this we'll select the info and give that a position of absolute. You might have understand what I am doing for this. Yeah, for this. Okay, let me move my VS Code to this side, and now I'll give it a top of 40% and a right of 10%. So it would be from right. Save it. You can see the changes. Okay, I made a mistake here. Yeah, you can see that changes are here. Now we'll give it a display of flex direction of column, and we'll give it a align items of flex end. Save this. We need to remove this. Yeah. Now we will also give it a 1 rem of gap. This might not be visible now, but we'll be changing its color. Okay, so we will select the H2 and give it a color of F9C74F. Save it. The color has applied. Yeah, the color has been applied. We'll also give it a font size of 4em, and we'll give it a letter spacing of 0.5em. It's 0.5em. Save it. You can see that letter spacing and font size have been applied. Now we'll select the EM. First we'll give it a color of white. Save it. Yeah, that's visible. Now we'll give it the width of 60%, and we'll give it a text align of end. Then we'll also give it a font size of 1.1 rem. Save that. Yeah, that's looking good. Now we'll also give it a letter spacing of 0.1 rem. 0.1 rem. Yeah, that's good. Now the text is styled. We'll now style the button. We'll select the button, and first we'll give it a padding of 1 rem of top and bottom, and left and right of 2 rem. Okay, that's good. Now we'll give it a font size of 1.4 rem. Save it. We'll now give it a background color. Background color, that would be hexadecimal FC4958. Save it. Now we'll give it a border of none. Then we'll give it a color of white, and we'll give it a font weight of 800. Yeah, that's looking good. Now we'll also give it a letter spacing of 0.2 rem. It's 0.2 rem. Now we'll give it a cursor of pointer. So now there is a pointer here. Now let's give a transition property. Transition 0.3 seconds is in out, and with a pseudo class of hover, we'll give it a background color of the yellow, which is F9C7 4F. It's 4F. Save it. So now when we hover over this, we will have a smooth transition effect. No, it's not working. Yeah, now it should work. Yeah, we have a smooth effect now. Yeah, so our hero section has been styled. Now let's move on to the services section. So head over to the VS Code. Let's maximize this. We'll close this hero.jsx and we'll open services by Control P, services. Okay, so in this component here, first we'll import styled. So let's copy that from hero. We'll copy this, paste it here. Then we'll also copy this styled section and paste it down here, and at the end we'll be using this. Now we'll import images, which would be services one from assets services one.png. Now we'll copy this line by Control C and paste it 2 times, and we'll change this text service 2 and service 3. If you are wondering how am I selecting this role by this, you can select all the instances of this by Control D, and as many times you press Control D, all of the instance of the service 2 would be selected. Okay, so now inside here we'll replace this with section and we'll give it a ID of services. Save it, and inside here first we have a div with the class name of title. Then we have an h1 inside that. We'll give it a class name of yellow, and we'll here supply what we do. Save it. After this we have a p. We'll supply Lorem text here by Lorem 20. Save it. And after this, in this div we have another div with a class name of services, and inside that we have a service class. Inside that first we'll supply the image here. Here it would be service 2. Here the text would be service image. After this we have an p tag. Here we'll copy the text from here. You can type it yourself. Copy this, paste it here. We'll select the Lorem from here, span, cut it and paste it after this ipsum. Save it, because we would be giving this Lorem ipsum a different color. Now we'll have a button here with the text read more. Save it, and now we will copy this service div and we'll paste it 2 times, 2 and 3, and here we'll pass an additional class which is yellow. We'll give this a service 1 image and we'll give this a service 3 image. Save it and let's check. Okay, we have an error here. Service 213 is not defined. Okay, we have a spelling mistake here. It is service and service. Save it. Service 2 is not defined. Okay, we need to pass. Let me check here. Okay, the images are here. If they aren't, just refresh this page. Now let's style this. Let me shrink this VS Code, and now inside here we'll first give it a margin of 2 rem and 4 rem. Yeah, margin is applied. Now we'll be creating a reusable style named as title styles. Have we created the file? Let me check that. Reusable styles. No, we haven't created that file. We are gonna create that. From here we'll add a new file which is reusable styles.jsx. It could be JS, but I'm writing here JSX, and inside the reusable styles we'll write here export const. Okay, we first need to import CSS. Let me maximize this first. Import CSS from styled components. So this time we have imported a CSS element inside the style components, not the style. Make sure of that. Then we'll write export const title styles is equals to CSS. Here first we'll select the title div, then we'll give it a text align of center, then we'll give it a display of flex and a flex direction of column, and we'll give it a gap of 2 rem. Save it to auto indent. Then we'll select the H1 and we'll give it a font size of 3 rem. We'll give it a text transform of uppercase. We'll select the span inside the H1 and give it a color of FC4958. Save it. Now here there should be these kind of brackets, not the square brackets. Then we have the yellow class. Here the color of the text would be yellow. So the color would be F9C74F. Save it. Now we have the p tag, and inside the p tag we have a padding of 0 and 10 viewport width. Then we have a font size of 1.1 rem. Then we have a line height. It's line height of 2 rem. Then we have a letter spacing property of 0.1 rem. Save this. Now let's use this for media query as well. So whenever the screen size would be, minimum width would be 260 pixels. Should be 260, not 20. 260 pixels, and the maximum width is 1080 pixels. So whenever the viewport of the screen is between these pixels, we need to apply the style. For the title, we'll give it a gap of 1 rem. Then we'll select the H1 and give it a font size of 2 rem. Then we'll select the P and give it a padding of 0 and 1 viewport width. Save this. So now after all of this, we'll also create another utility class which is image zoom effect. This is not used in the services section, but we'll complete this now, so we don't need to open this file afterwards. So here we'll select the image and give it a transition of 0.8 seconds is in out. So you have figured it out that this is for the transition effect, and when we hover over it, we need to transform and we'll scale the image by 1.2. I'll show you where this is used. Save this, and now the browser. So you can see that this transition effect, this hover effect, is coming from there. Okay, so now save this, close this file, and inside our services we'll be importing this by import, leave this as default, and from reusable styles. Inside from this we need the title styles, and we'll apply the title styles. Let me shrink this. Yeah, here we'll write the dollar and the brackets. Now we'll write title styles. Save this. Now you can see that the styles has been applied. Now we'll select the services div and give it a display of grid template columns of repeat 3 of 1 frame rate. It's FR frame. I don't know the full form of this. So we have our grid here now, and we'll give it a gap of 10 viewport width. See it? Yeah, there is a gap now. Now we'll give margin top of 4 rem. Then we'll select the service inside the services and give it a display of flex direction of column, and align items of center. Also we'll supply a gap property of 1.5 viewport width. Yeah, that's good. Then let's give it a padding as well, padding of 0 and 3 viewport width of left and right. Then we'll select the image, give it a height of 2.8 rem. Then we'll select the p tag and give it a text align property, not transform. Text line of center. Now we'll also provide a line height of 2 rem. We'll give it a font size of 1.1 rem, and we'll provide a letter spacing of 0.1 rem. Save it. Now after this we'll select the button. We'll give it a padding of 0.6 rem of top and bottom and 3 rem of left and right. We should remove this. Save it. So padding is perfect now. Now we'll give it a letter spacing of 0.2 rem. It's 0.2. We'll give it a border radius of 2 rem. We'll give it a font size of 1.1 rem. Then we'll remove the border. Then we'll supply a color of white and a background color of hashtag FC 4958. See that? Yeah, that's good. Now we'll also give it a transition of 0.3 seconds is in out. And then when we hover over it, we need to change the color to the background color to the yellow, which is F9 C7 4F. Save it. Okay, F9 C7. It's 4F. Save this. So now let's test the hover effect. Yeah, it's working, but the transition is not. I know. Save this. Yeah, the transition is working. And now what we are gonna do is, for this one we are gonna provide the background color, initial background color of the button to yellow, and we hover over this, we have the color of red. Let's do that. So after these 3 curly brackets, we'll select the yellow and we'll give it a button, and for the background color we'll be using the yellow. Let's copy that from here, and when we hover over it, we want the background color to be this. Save it. Yeah, That's great, it's working, and our services section is completed. Now we have this portfolio section. Let's style that. Let's create that and style that. So now head over to portfolio.jsx by Control P. Press Control P and portfolio.jsx. Not portfolio.jpg, we need portfolio.jsx. Portfolio.jsx, yeah, this file. So first we will import the style from style components. Let me copy this from the services file, and we are gonna copy this also. Okay. Copy, paste, and the tilde sign. Close this. Now we'll import the background from the assets folder, and the name of the file is portfolio.jpg. Save this, and here we'll replace this div with section. We'll supply ID, which is portfolio. Save it. Inside this we have a div with a class name of background. Inside this we'll give the image and supply the background here. Here we'll write portfolio background image. Background image. We don't need this space here. So after this div we have a content div. Content. Inside first we have the h1. We will copy this text from here, paste it. Then we have the h2. We'll copy that from here as well, save it. Then we have the button, and we'll write buy now here. Okay, so our markup is done. Yeah, our markup is done. Let's style this. We shrink this, and inside the section we have the height as 80 viewport height. Then we will give the position of relative. Then we'll give it a border radius of 5 and now when we hover over this, okay, so when we hover over this, we need to select the background div, not the property. Then we have the image, and we'll give the transform of scale of 1.2. We won't be using that reusable style we created here because that is more unique to the products. We'll explain it later. Then we'll select the background from here and give it the height of 100%, max width of 100% as well. Save it. Then we'll give it a overflow of hidden. See that? Yeah, our container is styled again. Then we'll give it a border radius of 1 rem. So the border radius has been applied. Now we'll select the image inside this and give it an object fit of cover. Save it. Then we will give a width of 100% and a height of 100%. Yeah, that's looking good. Now we'll give it a color of white. Sorry, we don't need a color here. Then we'll give it a filter of brightness of 60%. Save it. Then we'll give it a border radius of 1 rem. and we'll give it a transition of 0.8 seconds is and out. Remove this first. Okay, the transition is not working. I'm not sure why. Let me check. Okay, we don't need to give transition here. We will give transform. This should work now. Yeah, it's working. Now, after the background, we will select the content and we'll give it a position of absolute. Then we'll give it a top of 25%, left of left. Okay, left of 10%. Save it. Okay, so you can see that text is here. Then we'll give it a color of white. It's white. See that? Now the colors are visible. Then we'll give it a display of flex direction of column, and a gap of 1 rem. Save it. We will also supply justify content of center and then align items of flex start. Save it. Yeah, that's looking good. Now let's style this h1 and h2. In the content, we'll select the h1 first and give it a font size of 3 rem and a width of 60%. Save it. It should be 60%, not 50. Yeah. Then we'll select the h2 and give it the width of 60% as well. Yeah, that's looking good. Now let's select the button. First of all, let's remove the border none. Then we'll give it a padding of 1 rem of top and bottom, and left and right of 2 rem. We should increase to 4 rem. Yeah. Now we'll supply font size of 1.4 rem. Save it. We'll also give it a color of white. It's white. Yeah, then we'll give it a background of linear gradient to right. The first color would be FC4958 and the second color would be E85D04. Now let's close this. Okay, we need this inside this. Yeah. So you can see that the gradient has been applied. Now we don't need the border, so we will give it a border radius. Then we'll give it a transition of 0.5 seconds is it's 0.5 seconds is in out, and when we hover over this, we'll copy this linear gradient and we'll invert the colors by 2 left. Save it. You can see that gradient is working and the hover is also working. Now let's give it a text transform of uppercase. Save this. Okay, so our portfolio sections is styled. Now what we have is the testimonials section. So I'll increase this and we'll head over to the testimonials.jsx. So now first we'll import here the styled in the testimonials. Now we'll copy this section, paste it. Sorry. Copy. paste the tilt sign. Yeah, now we'll import the avatar one from assets and avatar1.jpg. Save it. We will also import the image zoom effect and the title styles from the reusable styles. So we'll import image zoom effect and the title styles. Now let's replace this div with section. Save it. And now here we'll pass testimonials. Save it. Inside we have the container div with, inside we have the title, the h1 tag, and inside the h1 we have span of what customers says. Save this. And now I forgot to do one thing in the reusable styles. What we'll do is we'll write h2 here and we'll copy this span and place it here. So the changes would be displayed. The changes should display here. Let me check that. In the let's write important here. Important. Still doesn't work. Let me check that in the services. So in services we placed it inside the P, not H2. Sorry, my bad. So we will write P here. Is it working? No. Yeah, that's not working because it's not inside the title. That was my mistake. So let me go over to the services, and inside the service we'll select P and we'll paste it, that span here. Okay, that's working. Now let's head over to the testimonials again and continue here. After this div we have in testimonials, then inside we have a testimonial. Inside we have a div with a class name of image. We'll write image tag here with an source of avatar 1, and here we'll supply avatar. After this we have the p tag. We will copy the content from here, and before this lorem ipsum we'll write the span tag. Lorem ipsum will go inside this. Yeah. Okay, so we will be copying this div 2 times. 1, 2. Save this. The content would remain same. Let us check it here. Yeah, it's here. Now let's style it. In the section, first we'll give it a margin of 5 viewport width. Then we'll give it a background color of linear gradient. So we'll copy that inside the, from the portfolio, copying this linear gradient, pasting it here, and we'll give it a padding of 0.2 rem. We'll supply border radius of 1.5 rem and a position of relative. Save this. Okay, so we have this container. So what we are going to do is, we have this two container here. First is with this background color. This is not the border, this is the background color. Then we have this div which has the background color of white, and it is placed on top of this div. And then we have this third div which is here in the between of these two divs. So let's do that. Now we have the container. We'll give it a margin. Its margin of 0.5 rem. Then we'll give it a padding of top of 1 viewport width. Then we'll give it a padding bottom of 4 viewport width. Save that. Then we'll give it a background color of white. Let me switch the tabs. Yeah. And we'll give it a border radius of 1 rem. Yeah, that's good. So now we'll apply the title styles here. Title styles. Yeah, so it has been applied. Then we'll select the title and give it a position of absolute. Then we'll give it a top of -1 rem. Then we'll give it a left of 25%. Then we will give it a padding of 0 and 2 rem. And at last we'll give it a background color of white. Okay, that's done. Now let's select the testimonials. We'll give it a display of flex direction. No, flex direction is not needed. We'll give it a justify content of space between, and then we'll give it a align items of center. Also we'll give it a gap of 6 viewport width, and we'll give it a background color of white. It's white, not red smoke. Save this. So you can't see the changes here because the image size is too large. Let me shrink it. So inside the testimonials we have testimonial, and inside the testimonial we have the image. Then inside the image we will supply height of 10 rem. See this? Yeah, you can see that now. Okay, so let's give the zoom effect here. Image zoom effect. That is not coming. Yeah, image zoom effect. Then inside the image we will give it a overflow of hidden. Then we'll give it a width of max content. We'll give it a max height of 10 rem and a border radius of 10 rem as well. Save this and you can see the changes here. Yeah. So the hover effect is not working. Why is that? Okay, we will figure out this later on. Let's style it further. So the testimonial will have a padding of 0 and 4 viewport width of left and right. It's padding. See this? Then we will be having a display of flex direction of column, and align items of center, and text align of center. Okay, everything is in center now. Now we'll also give it a gap of 1 rem. Now we'll select the p tag and give it a font size of 1.1 rem. We'll give it a line height of 2 rem, letter spacing of 0.1 rem. It's 0.1 rem. Save this. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, so it has been styled, I think. Yeah, this style, we need to fix this. Okay, so the testimonials have a margin top property of 3 viewport width. Yeah, that's good. Now we just need to figure out this hover effect. So for that, let's move on to the reusable styles, and inside here we need to remove this. Yeah, that's working. Okay, so our testimonials have been styled. So next is this product section. Let's do that. So now let's head over to the products.jsx. Products.jsx. Here I have already imported this images styled from the style components and the reusable styles, which is title styles and the image zoom effect. Also, I have created this data, which is array of objects, which has the image is the reference of these images imported. Then we have this name of the product and the price of the product. This could be anything. You can copy this from the video's description. Okay, so now let's create the markdown for this. We have a div with a class name of title. Inside it we have an h1 which would have a span with an favorite. After favorite we have the time. So after this div we have an products div, products, and we will map this data dot map. We will destructure the product from it. No, we don't want to destructure. We'll just grab the product and we'll return the product from here. And inside the product we have the image. Then we have an image with a source of product dot image. We'll give product image here, save it, and after this div we have an h2 with product dot name. Then we have an h3 with product dot price. Then we have an p which we will copy from here, paste it. You can also have random lorem ipsum text. Then we have a button and we'll give the content as buy now. Okay, so our markdown is done. Yeah, our markdown is done. You can see. So let's style this now. Let's go to the top of this section. Now let me shrink this, and in here what we'll do is we'll first apply the title styles. So as you can see, how useful is this. Then we will select the products. We'll give it a display of grid. We'll give it a grid template columns of repeat, and we have 4 and with 1 FR. Let's select the image first and decrease its size so that we can see the changes, we will give it a max height property, max height of 20 rem. Okay, there's an error here. Okay. Inside the image, we will select the image now and we'll give it a height of 20 rem and a width of 15 rem. Save it. Yeah, the images are good now. Let's style the content now. So after this grid template columns, we'll give it a gap of 3 rem. Then we'll give it a margin top of 3 rem as well. That's looking good. Now in the product, first we'll give it a display of flex, then we'll give it a flex direction of column, and we'll give it a gap of 0.6 rem. Yeah. And now we'll give it a justify content of center and align items of center. That's good. Now let's select the H3. We'll give it a color of hexadecimal FC 4958. Save it. Then we have the P. We'll give it a text align of center, font size of 1.1 rem, line height of 2 rem, and a letter spacing of 0.1 rem. Save this. Now after this, we will use the image zoom effect. Save this. Now inside the image, we'll give it an overflow of hidden and a border radius of 1 rem. Save this. So our image zoom effect is working. That's good. Now let's style the button. So after the image, we'll do 2 curly braces and write button. First we'll give it a border of none, then we'll give it a padding. It's just 2Ds, 1 rem, 4 rem. Save this. Now we'll give it a color of white, then we'll give it a font size of 1.4 rem. We'll give it a border radius of 4 rem. Say this. Yeah. So let's copy the button style, button background from testimonials, from the portfolio. Yeah, from this file, we'll copy this. We'll head over to the products, supply the background color, the button. Okay, why it's not working? Okay, it should be done. Yeah, it's working. Copy this, and when we hover over the button, we will paste this and we'll change the right to left. Okay, we also need to provide a transition. No, transition is not needed because gradients don't work with transitions. We'll give it a cursor of pointer. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Our products are styled. So now we will move over to this newsletter section. So for that, open the newsletter.jsx. We will maximize this, and from the products we will copy this styled, paste this, then we'll copy this paste it. Okay, I'm sorry. We paste it, and we don't need the zoom effect. We just need the title styles. And then we'll create a const section is equals to styled dot section with tilts. Yeah, replace this with the sections. So now here we have an div with a class name of title. Inside we have an h1. We'll have the span. We'll write subscribe here, and we'll write newsletter here. Then we'll select P. Then we will copy this text, paste it here. Okay, my bad. Copy and paste, save it. And after this div we have a container. Inside the container we have an input with text. We don't need the name and ID. Instead we'll write placeholder, and here we'll write search for food. Save it. And after we have this button with the text search. Now we'll style this. Let me head over to here, and yeah, so you can see what changes we are doing. First we'll write a border of 0.01 rem of solid with the color of black. Save this. The border is there. Then we will be having padding of 4 rem. Then we have display of flex direction of column, and a gap of 2 rem. Then we will write align items of center. Save it. Then we'll apply the title styles. Our title styles are here. Then we will select the container. First we'll give it a background of linear gradient. So we will copy that background of linear gradient from here, paste it here. We'll give it a padding of 0.3 viewport width. Then we'll select the input, and we'll give it a border of none. Then we'll give it a padding. Padding would be 1.5 rem to top, and 8 rem would be for right, 1.5 rem for bottom, and 1 rem for top. Sorry, bottom, left. Save this. Here it should be 1.5 rem. 1.5 rem. Yeah, that's looking good. Then we have font size of 1.3 rem. Now when we have focus over this, we don't need an outline. Now we'll select the button inside this, and for the button we'll give it a background color of 1 rem and 5, sorry, not background, we need to apply padding. See this, need to move it here. Now we'll give it a background color of transparent. Then we'll give it a border of none. And now We'll give it a font size of 1.3 rem. Then we'll give it a color of white. We'll give it a text transform of uppercase. We'll have letter spacing of 0.5 rem. We'll give it a transition of 0.3 seconds ease in out. We'll give it a cursor of pointer, and when we hover over this, we have the letter spacing to 0.6 rem and 0.6 rem, and padding would be 1 rem to top and bottom and 4.7 to left and right. Save it. Okay, we have some problem here. 1 rem, 4.7 rem. Why it is not working? Okay, also the gradient has not been applied. Let me do one thing. We'll copy this color and paste it at the end. Yeah, the gradient is there. Letter spacing. Yeah, that is working now. So our newsletter is also styled. So all that's left is to do the footer section now. So let's head over to VS Code, maximize the screen, and so I'll open the footer.jsx by Ctrl P. Footer.jsx. Here I have already imported the logo, then the icons, and the style from style components. Also I have created a style component named as section, and here I have made the changes. Make sure that this is style.footer, not section. Now inside this section, let's do one thing. We'll return a div from here with a class name of footer, and inside this div we will add this section here. Yeah. Now inside this we have a brand. We will also give it a container class. Okay, we need to remove this and write the brackets here. Remove it. Yeah. So inside this div we will have the image with an source of logo. Here we'll write logo. Then we have an P with a random lorem kept some text. Then we'll have UL. Inside the UL we have LI. We will have 4 of these, so into 4. So the first one would have the AI fill Instagram. Then the next one would have FA Facebook F, and the next one would have GR LinkedIn option, and the last one would have PS Twitter. See this. Now after this div we will have an about class, and with the container. Inside it we have title, h3 about us. See this. And after this we have random lorem text. We'll copy this from here. See this. And after this we have contact container class, we have title h3, and inside that we have contact us. Then we will copy this from here and remove the spaces first. Then what I'll do is I'll select every one of these from selecting here, then select here by clicking Alter. It will allow you to multiple select in VS Code. Then we'll write P here and we'll go to end and close this P. Save it. So it's done. Now after this section we will write lower footer. This is a styled component. We need to create this. We'll write class name is equals to lower footer, and inside we have an h2. Let's write the content copyright &copy of 2021 and a span of Foodie. Save this and let's create the lower footer. Lower footer is equals to style.div. Save this. So now first let's go here and see the footer now first. Okay, it's very bad. We have a mistake here. Yeah, here. Remove this. That's good. Now let's style this lower footer first. Lower footer. We'll give it a margin of 0. Let me switch to the side. Then we'll give it text align of center. Then we'll give it a background color of black. We'll give it a color of white and we'll give it a padding of 1 rem. Okay, so it is styled. We'll style it further. We'll select the h2. Inside the h2 we have the span and we'll give it a color of hexadecimal FC4958. Save it. Let's see, it's here. We'll also give it a text transform of uppercase. Yeah, that's looking good. Now let's style this footer. So the footer, we will give it a margin of 0. Then we'll give it a background of linear gradient, which will be copy from this, paste it here. We don't need this third color. We'll remove this. Okay. Then we have color of white. Save it. Then we'll write display grid and grid template columns would be repeat 3 times 1 fr. Then we'll give it a gap of 10 viewport width and padding would be 4 viewport width. Save this. Now we'll select the B and give it a font size of 1.1 rem. We'll select the line height and give it a 2 rem. Then we'll select letter spacing and give it 0.1 rem. At 0.1. Then we'll select the UL. We'll give it a display of. We'll give it a display. Sorry for that. Display Why it's not working? Okay, I just created this out of style component. Display of flex, list style type none, gap of 4 viewport width, padding of 4 viewport width, sorry, we'll remove this and we'll write margin top of 2 viewport width. Yeah, that's good. Now we'll select the li inside this and we'll give it a padding of 0.8 rem. We'll write border radius of 2 rem. We'll give it a background color of white. Background color of white. Then we'll give it a transition property of 0.3 seconds. 0.3 seconds is in out. We'll give it a cursor pointer. Now we'll select the SVG inside this. We'll give it a display of flex. Justify content of center. Align items of center. Color would be hexadecimal FC. This one FC 9548. Sorry, 4958. Now we'll give it a font size of 1.6 rem. And we'll supply transition of 0.3 seconds is in out. We'll remove this from here. This is 0.8. Okay, that looks good. Now when we hover over this, we will give it a background color of black, and we will also select the SVG inside this and give it a transform of scale 1.2. Save it. Let's check that. Yeah, that's working. Okay. So now let's style this logo. So here we'll come out of this. We'll select image. And inside image we'll give it a filter. First, brightness. The brightness would be 0, and we'll invert the colors, so it would be the white. Yeah. Then we'll also give it the width of 10 viewport width. Now that's looking good. Now let's select the container. We'll give it a display of flex direction of column. We'll give it gap of 0.5 rem. Then we'll select the H3 and give it a font size of 2 rem. Yeah, that's good. Okay, we don't have this spacing here. We'll fix this. Inside the P, so we'll move to the class here, the contact, and we'll write contain. We'll copy this from here. Okay, that's good. So where is the error? Let me inspect this. Okay, so this is inside the title. We need to fix that. The title div should end after h3. Yeah, that's working now. So our footer is also designed. Now what we'll do is we'll design this scroll bar and we'll create the scroll to top. This. Okay. So now let's head over to the VS Code, maximize this and head over to index.css. At the end, we are gonna select the WebKit scroll bar. We'll give it a background color of white and we'll also give it a width of 0.4 viewport width. Now we'll select the WebKit scroll bar thumb and we will copy this background linear gradient, paste it here, and instead of right we will give it bottom. Save it. Let's see if it's working. Yeah, you can see that our linear gradient is working fine. Let's see it here. Yeah, both are identical. Now let's also add a show class here with an opacity of 1 and we'll also pass important here. Then we'll have a visibility. We'll give it visible. We'll also pass important. We'll give it a right. We have 0 for that and we'll also pass important. This is for the responsive navbar. This will be useful when we are designing the template as responsive. Now let's close this file and open scroll to top. Now first of all, in the scroll to top we need the styled. So I'm gonna import styled from styled components. Styled components, save it, and at the end we'll write to top is equals to styled dot div, and here we'll replace it with to top. Now okay, there is a spelling mistake. To top, we also need use state. Okay, and we will also import AI outline arrow up from React icons AI. Then inside here we'll first write const scroll state and set scroll state is equals to use state with a false property. Then we'll write const to top, and in this function we'll add window dot scroll to top of 0. Then we'll add a window dot add event listener, and whenever we scroll we need to execute this function, and this function will just have window dot page y offset. If it's greater than 200, then we need to set scroll state to true. Otherwise we'll set the scroll state to false. Okay, now inside the to top we'll pass on click equal to top, and scroll state is equals to scroll state, and inside this we will pass AI outline arrow up. Save this. So now when we head over to the browser, the scroll is here at the top. So now let's move this to the fixed position, which is here. So inside this, we will write first display, and we will use props inside these scroll. We'll use props inside the style components. We'll restructure the scroll state, and if the scroll state property is true, then we will pass display as block, or we don't want the display. Save it. And now let's move on. We'll give it a position of fixed, and we'll give it a cursor of pointer. We'll give it a Z index of 10. It's Z index. See this? We'll give bottom of 1 rem, right of 2 rem. So you can see that arrow is here. As soon as we hit the window dot height less than 200, it will disappear. Now let's apply a background of linear gradient. We'll copy this from the newsletter, paste it here, and we don't need this third color. Okay, the gradient is there. Let's apply border radius of 2 rem. Then we'll apply the padding of 1 rem of top and bottom and 1.5 rem of left and right. That's good. Now let's select the SVG. We'll give it a font size of 1.5 rem, and we'll give it a color of white. Yeah, that's good. Now let's also give it a transition property of 0.6 seconds is in out, and when we hover over this, we want the SVG to transform and scale 1.8 times. Remove this. Okay, so we need to remove this. Yeah, should work now. Okay, so it is working. So the scroll bar and scroll to top are styled. Now let's make this template responsive. So when we switch over to the mobile size, you can see that there is no responsiveness here. Okay, so let's do that. So I'll switch the Chrome to half size also. So we'll start with the footer first. Okay, so we'll go to the footer, and let's go to reusable styles and copy this media query and go to the footer now. And for the footer, we will apply the same query here, and inside it we'll write grid template columns of 1fr. We'll select the container, give it image height of 4 rem and a width of 10 rem. Save it. Okay, so our footer is good. Now let's select the lower footer. Here we will write it for 450 pixels, and for the H2 and inside the span we'll give it a display of block. Okay, so that's looking good. Now we'll do one thing, we'll style the products first. Now go to the products.jsx. Here at the end we'll paste that media query, and here we'll write 720 pixels. We'll select the products, and we'll give it grid template columns of repeat auto fill with a min-max property of 250 pixels and 1 FR. Save it. Okay, so they all are in one line, and after this media query we'll write another media query here for the min width of 720 pixel to 1080 pixel. We'll copy this, and we'll copy this whole products, paste it here, and in the repeat function we'll just write 2 of 1 FR, just that. Okay, that's done. Now let's style the newsletter. So here at the end we'll paste, we need to copy again that media query, copy, paste. Here we'll write 1080 pixels, 1080 pixels, and here we'll write container. The padding would be 0.8 rem. The border radius would be, don't need the ch. Then we'll select the input, we'll give it width of 7 viewport width, then we'll give it a padding of 0.5 rem. We'll also give it a border radius of 0.5 rem. Then for the button we'll give it a margin top of 0.5 rem, width of 100%, padding of 0.5 rem. We'll select the hover, apply the hover effect, and when we hover we want padding to 0.5 rem of top and bottom and 1 rem of left and right. Save this, remove the ch from here. Okay, that should be working. Yeah, that is working. Now let's head over to the reusable styles, and here okay, everything is perfect here. We'll figure this out why it's getting out of this container afterwards. Let's style the testimonials now. Head over to testimonials. At the bottom we'll add the media query. It should be 1080 pixels. Save it. We'll select the container here. Inside we'll select the title, we'll give it a position of initial, background color of transparent. Then we'll select the testimonials, and we'll give it a flex direction of column. That's good. Now let's style the portfolio. head over to the end of the file, paste the media query, change this to 1080. Here we'll select the content. Inside content we'll select the H1 and give it a width of 90%. Then we'll give it a font size of 1.5 rem. We'll select the H2, we'll give it a font size of 1.2 rem, and we'll also give it a width of 90%. Now let's select the button. We'll give the button a padding of 1 rem and a 2 rem. We'll select the font size and give it a font size of 1 rem. Well, that's also done. Now let's head over to the services. At the end of the file, paste the media query, close it, 1080, and first we'll give it a margin of 2 rem. Then we'll give the services, and the grid template columns would be 1fr. Grid template columns. Yeah, that's it. So our services is also done. Now let's head over to the hero section. So at the end of the file, we'll paste the media query, close it, change this to 1080. We'll select the content. We'll give it a flex direction of column. Inside it, we'll have the sale and we'll give it a display of none. Then we have the info. We'll give it a top of 25%. Select the H2, give it a font size of 2 rems. We'll select the EM, give it a width of 90%. Yeah, so that's also styled. Now we need to figure out for this title. Okay, so we will head. Okay, so in the reusable styles, here we need to write H1 instead of H2. Save it. Let's refresh this. Okay, the font sizes are still not changed. We'll go to the top here. We'll write 1 rem here. It's still not changed. We'll leave that for now as it is. We'll solve that issue afterwards. First is, let's style this navbar. Go to navbar.jsx. So now in the navbar.jsx, we'll first import some icons. Import gi hamburger menu from React icons gi. Save it, and we'll also import VSC Chrome close from React icons VSC. Save it, and we'll also import useState for maintaining the navbar state if it is open or closed, and we'll declare it here navbar state. Sorry for that. Navbar state, and set navbar state is equals to useState the initial value would be false. Now we'll write and select the HTML tag by the vanilla JavaScript query selector, and we'll pass HTML here, and we'll add an event listener to this. HTML dot add event listener, and whenever there is click in the entire HTML, we want to set the navbar state to false. I'll explain this afterwards. We'll just write it now, and then inside this toggle we'll have the curly braces, and we'll check what's the navbar state, and if it's true we are gonna show VSC Chrome close, and if it's false we are gonna show GI hamburger menu. And now whenever we click on this icon, we want to set the navbar state to false, and whenever we click this hamburger menu, we want to set the navbar state to true. Set navbar state to true. Also, here we are going to take the event and we are going to use e.stop propagation. This should be inside the curly braces. Yeah. So that's all. Then here instead of returning this nav element, we are going to use React fragments, because the responsive nav and the nav are different navigation bars, not in the same one. Responsive nav, we need to declare this responsive nav. This is a style component. Responsive nav is equals to style.div. Save it, and in the responsive nav, initially we're gonna pass the state first. State is equals to navbar state. This is gonna be used in the in the style component. Then on the basis of state, we are gonna provide the navbar state, the class of show. This show class was written in the index.css file initially, if you remember. I'll show you this, what I'm talking about. In the index.css, we have written the show class. Whenever this is applied, the opacity would be 1, the visibility would be visible, and the right would be 0. Okay. So in the navbar.jsx, in the navbar, we are gonna copy this UL, which is having links. We are gonna remove this class name, and inside every href, we are gonna add on click event. Whenever it is clicked, we want to set the navbar state to false. If you are not gonna understand anything about this, I'll make you understand after we code this, so don't worry about that. So let's style this. So we'll write the media query here. Let me copy the media query from here, not this one, from the reusable styles, and we'll paste it here. What's the max width? Yeah, We don't need to change that. Inside here, we are going to select the brand. We'll give it display flex, justify content of space between, and will supply align items of center. We'll also provide width of 100% and a top of 0. About 0. Yeah. Then we'll select the toggle class and give it a display of block. So it would be visible now. And we are going to select the links and give it a display of none. Okay. Let me refresh this. Okay. So this is working, but our links are still here. It should have gone. I think we have an error here. Okay, this is for the map. This is not an error. Let's go here. Why is this still visible? Brand. This has the class brand. Now the links. Let's switch to responsive and I think we missed something here. Okay, this whole media query should be at the end. Let me check this error. Okay, so I have reverted this change of the bracket down and I found the issue. This should be here. Okay, so it's working now. Yeah, it's working. And now in the responsive now, initially we are going to give it a position of fixed. Then we will give it a right of -100 viewport width. Then we'll give it a top of 0. We'll provide the Z index of 10. Then we'll give it a background color of white. Let me click this. Okay, it's visible now. We'll give it the height of 100 viewport height. We'll give it a width with the props property, which is of state. If the state is true, we are gonna supply the width as 60%, or if the state is false, we are gonna supply it 0. Save it. So our state is true for the time, so the width is 60% now. And whenever we click outside of this nav, then it would disappear as 0%. You can see that. Now we'll give it a transition of 0.3 seconds, phase in out. So now it would have a transition. Now let's give it a display of flex, opacity of 0, and visibility of hidden. Okay, that's good. Now let's copy the URL code from here. Where was it? Yeah, this thing. I think we should write it because there are some changes to be made. We'll select the UL. We'll give it a list type of none. Then we'll give it a width of 100%. We'll supply margin top of 3 rem. Then we'll select the li. We'll give it a width of 100%. We'll give it a margin of 1 rem to top and bottom. Also we'll supply margin left of 2 rem. We'll select the A. We don't want the text decoration. Then we'll provide the color F9C74F. We'll have the font size of 1.2 rem, a transition of 0.1 second is in out. When we hover over it, we want the color to be FC4958. Save it. This is 0.1 second. Now for the first of type, inside this we want the color of the A to be the red and font weight to be 900. Okay, so changes have been applied. Now we are gonna go and apply the toggle the Z index of 12. Save it. Yeah, the cross button is also visible now, and when we click outside of any of this navbar, it will close. When we click on any of this link, it will also close. Okay, that's working. Now all that's left is to style this what customer says. So we have to find the issue here. Okay, so I have found the error here. We misspelled this. This is title, and here the font size would be 2 rem. Yeah, that's good. So our responsiveness is also done. You can see that everything is responsive now. Let me increase the size of the screen. So this is the tablet. So it is also responsive. Yeah, so responsive is done. Now we just need to add the animations. So we need to add the scroll reveal animations. For that, what we'll do is we'll head over to app.js. So here we are gonna import first the use effect hook, and we will be also importing the scroll reveal from scroll reveal. Copy this and we'll use the use effect. We'll pass the empty array so it runs only once, and we'll define const sr is equals to scroll reveal. We'll pass an object inside this which will have origin of top, then a distance of 80 pixels, then the duration of 2000 milliseconds, and the reset property would be set to false. Now we want to reveal using the SR. Here we'll pass the nav tag, then the ID of home, then the ID of service, then the ID of portfolio, then the ID of testimonials. Make sure that you pass this in a sequence, because it runs everything in a sequence. Then we'll write the products, then we'll write the newsletter. Here currently we are using the ID of the element, but if you have the class or the tag itself like this nav, you can also use it. So if you want to use the class, then you can use like this, dot and footer. So that's done. Now after this, we'll give a comma here, and initially we need the opacity to 0, and we need interval between all the items of 200 milliseconds. Okay, save it, and now we're gonna refresh it. Okay, as you can see that everything is working now. The scroll reveal animations are working. Okay, that's it. So our restaurant template is complete. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. If you have any comments or if you need any specific tutorial, you can always ask that in the comment section. Thank you for watching.